Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of season 4 of the F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Mexican GP. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from COTA, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But today we return to what has mathematically easily been my best track on the F1 calendar so far on this game. 3 races we've done at Mexico so far this series, and all 3 we've only gone and won. They're absolutely insane statistics so far throughout F1 2023. And of course, we could really do with another one today because the championship fight is looking absolutely insane there. 60 points now, the gap over Verstappen. The last 2 weekends have pretty much been a perfect run for me, whilst the Dutchman has failed to score basically any points whatsoever. So we could theoretically win the world title today. It would require us to take pole position and fastest lap, and Verstappen score not a single point, but I'm feeling confident that we can at least head into next weekend in Brazil with a very, very good shot at the crown there. 105 point lead over Red Bull as well in the Constructors' Championship, and for all we know, by the end of this week, daily My Team videos might be stopping on the channel. I've got a lot of other series though and things like that that I'm sure you guys are going to love nonetheless. But of course, you know, if you're new around here though, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We all know I'm a bottle job. I could throw away these 60 points in the final 4 Grand Prix. I could get mechanical failures that completely screw me as well. But yeah, let's head into it though. Mexico Grand Prix, we want to try and get another win on the board here around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Well, a bit like real-life Formula 1 this year, I feel like we've had a lot of wet qualifying sessions later on in the campaign, but yeah, we'll wait and see as to what we can do here today, of course. Often, you know, it's the races that have always gone well here in Mexico for me. Qualifying pace, I don't even think we've ever actually taken pole here, to be honest, which we haven't had many poles in comparison to my wins tally inside F1 23, but I think that goes to show, especially, you know, as you get further and further into the game, just how broken the AI can be when it comes to one-lap pace there. But we'll see what we can do. Of course, just want to safely make it through Q1 and Q2 first of all. You know, really now with the lead we've got in the championship, we kind of need to go with the Rosberg mentality of just do what we need to in these final few Grand Prix. You know, if we can win, of course we're going to try and take the wins, but you know, we just really want to make sure that we mathematically lock this thing out. I guess the good thing, though, is the rain is looking pretty stable throughout this qualifying session, so we're not going to see much movement in terms of the track conditions, at least through Q1 anyway, as we round our way out of the final turn. Hopefully this is going to be a decent representative. How did we not get a corner cut penalty for that? We only actually go with a P14 in the end, a little bit of a slip-up. So I'm going to keep my foot in it then and go for another run. Well, another small improvement then as we round our way in towards the stadium section. Hopefully we're going to be able to find a little bit more time through here. This last time around it was definitely a little bit sloppy. Tiny bit of front lock in there through the final couple of corners, but let's try and get the power down up towards the line. Another 4 tenths up. That is going to put us P4, and that should see us safely through and into Q2. Well, looks like track conditions could be getting worse then as we dive into Q2. Track meant to be getting cooler as this second session continues to develop, so we'll see what kind of time we can set early on here. No, now we sort of know roughly what kind of benchmark we're looking for. Low to mid 23s there was a big slide out of the final corner. Managed to catch it, unlike Valtteri Bottas all those years ago. But yeah, we need to concentrate, we need to focus up. You know, if we get a fully hooked up lap, there's definitely a low 23 in it. I think again, heading into Q2, we're going to need to do a double run. Just can't seem to find the grip and the confidence on this first lap. Maybe it takes an extra lap to just get heat into the tyres as out of the final corner. Definitely a couple of little mistakes as well, but a 24-1. Yeah, we're going to need to do another run anyway. We're in the drop zone as of now. I'm rounding our way through the final corner then. We just cannot find the time at the moment. Another 10th up at the end of this lap. That's going to still leave us in P12 there, and I don't have enough fuel to go for a third lap. Well, I said I didn't have enough fuel for a third lap. We've still gone and gambled it anyway, because why not here as we round our way in towards the final couple of corners. Again, about 4 tenths up. Let's hopefully if we can get this locked up. There we go, 8 tenths up actually as we round our way through the final couple of turns. So making up a lot of time. That's going to put us into P2 there, 3/10 away from Felipe Drugovich. That should be us through. Well, track conditions look to be continuing to fall off as we dive into Q3, but nothing to any kind of extremities here. So we're just going to try and go for one final triple run then in this session and see where we end up. I got no real expectation, to be honest. Drugovich is looking very, very racy, but will we be able to find the time we need? Let's just try and focus up, get some good laps on the table. You have a guess where our strengths lie. We've been purple through that middle sector. Basically every lap we've done, all qualifying, but round in the final corner, then to finish off my first run. 23.7 immediately puts us fastest. Can we find anything more, though? Oh, a little bit of a wobble out of the final corner, but we know there's time to find. Up over the line, 123.5. We've got one last lap. Let's make it count. Our tyres just starting to fall away from us on this final lap there as we find a little bit of time out of the final corner. But it is only going to be a 123.5 there. Will that be enough to see us take pole position for the first time here in Mexico? Well, there we go then. It is only P3 on the grid, ready for the Mexican GP there. Felipe Drugovich takes pole ahead of Charles Leclerc and myself. Max Verstappen, our big title rival, a couple of tenths away, but will line up alongside me in P4. Remember, if he scores points, the title cannot be wrapped up today. But let's go out there, let's enjoy ourselves, and can we make it 4 wins in a row here in Mexico?
Bienvenidos to the most populous city in North America. The legendary Jim Clark won the first official F1 race back in 1963 here, and we've had a veritable who's who of winners ever since. It's Mexico City, and therefore the Mexico City Grand Prix. At 2,285 meters above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners then make a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit. Expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour and overtaking into the braking zones of Turn 1 and Turn 4. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Felipe Drugovich lines up on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Mr. Monaco, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, De Vries, Albon, Sainz, Russell, Gasly, Fittipaldi, Helga, Verstappen, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Teo Pourchaire, Bottas, Doohan, Stroll, Joe, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching out for as they head into Turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into Turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Right, well here we are then, ready for the Mexican GP. Lining up P3, and both Red Bulls with some penalties certainly makes our life ever so slightly easier. I mean, just if we can walk away with our 4th win in a row this season, match that tally that Verstappen had at the start of the campaign, goes to show that we more than have just been consistent this year. But Drugovich lining up on the pole, Charles Leclerc alongside him, and then Piastri and Ocon just behind us. 5 cars, from 4 different teams making up our top 5 here. We've even got a McLaren in P6 there, so that gap continues to extend even further. Right, let's do this thing though. Mexican Grand Prix time, waiting on those 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Trying not to get too much wheel spitting off the initial launch, but we do get away quite cleanly there as we have the long run down towards Turn 1. Looks like Piastri has got a pretty good getaway in towards that first corner. He's going to try and apply pressure as Drugovich will try and defend the inside there. Contact, Nick De Vries running into the side of me in towards that first corner there, as we're just going to watch the battle unfold just in front. Luckily no damage from that contact. So yeah, Nick De Vries kind of lazily just kind of steered into the side of me there. George Russell making good progress, so the Alpines have really struggled of the launch there as well. Contact between Piastri and Charles Leclerc as Nick de Vries again is going to run into the back of me off the corner there. Could see him in the mirror trying to fire it in, but thought he might just about get the car slowed down before he met my gearbox. Drugovich, though, look at that, streaking away at the start of this afternoon's running. Of course, often here in Mexico, a two-stop has actually been a very, very good strategy to employ, but I think, you know, with the way the tyre wear has been this season, the one-stop is probably going to be the way to go. As, yeah, Drugovich just wants to make sure that he extends that gap out at the front of the field. We want to make sure that, of course, we don't pick up any warnings too early on this afternoon. I think every race where we picked up a warning on lap 1 has set the tone for the rest of the GP, and we often pick up a penalty. As Drugovich there goes under a 1:20, so already got a 2.5 second lead over me, and more importantly has a 1 second lead over Oscar Piastri. We're going to continue applying pressure to the Ferrari and the Aston Martin, but yeah, a wide variety of cars making up our top 6, as we're going to get front wing damage off Charles Leclerc, because he locks up, and the AI have a tendency when they lock up to be able to stop on a dime, and there's nothing you can do about it. Got to be one of the most frustrating things about F123, the way the AI do that. The fact they lock up and then just immediately are able to stop right in front of you, despite the fact they're understeering. But into the pits will come then at just the end of lap 2. Looks like we're doing a double medium to the end of the afternoon. Verstappen seems to have made up good progress, though, off the start of the race, up to about P8 there, if I'm not mistaken. But really, it was not the plan of action that we wanted this afternoon. But like I said, a two-stop has never, has never been too detrimental. Here is yellow flags out. Drugovich! Drugovich comes slowly. No, and our teammate from the lead of the Grand Prix, how much bad luck is he going to get this season? Already out here in Mexico, and is that going to potentially bring out a safety car very, very early on this afternoon? Felipe Drugovich out, and suddenly Audi are going to be last, and a DNF here. What a nightmare for Felipe. And there is the stricken second Audi. Definitely looks to be in a dangerous location. I'm sure there would have been calls for a Crashgate-esque scandal. But yeah, 18 seconds behind the AI when we head back out of the pit lane. So we've got a lot of work to do this afternoon. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Lewis Hamilton back in, I think it was 2017, I want to say. Obviously, he had that contact with Sebastian Vettel early on and limped home to a World Championship, finishing in like 7th with 4 rounds to go of the season, of course. I mean, yeah, it's almost a guarantee that we're not going to win the title today. We needed everything to go perfectly, with Verstappen having the worst luck in the world. But he gives us a few laps, obviously, just try and dial in the car early on. We're still going a lot faster than the AI, as you would expect. But I'm intrigued to see where we can finish up today, whether we get a safety car intervention or not. No! No. We've had 3 of the weirdest warnings over the last couple of laps, all in different places, all on the white line as well. That is a frustrating way early on this afternoon. We know Mexico, there can be some quite late race safety cars and things like that. But yeah, Verstappen, though, already up to P5 then, so he's doing a fantastic recovery drive early on today. Only a couple more laps before we're back with Bottas. But, I'm kind of looking at whether we can try and undercut the AI. But again, I think, we've got to not try and worry too much and just walk away with what points we can get. Yellow's out. Someone's got issues. Is that an Alpha? No, not an AlphaTauri. Williams breaking down, perhaps? So we've got a lot of battling going on just in front of me. We can see AI pushing each other down towards the wall. I think that's a Williams that might be breaking down early on. It might be the other Aston Martin and Magnussen, actually. As Kevin Magnussen, yep, out of the Grand Prix. And again, we're not going to get a safety car for it. That is disappointing for us. I guess now, though, is where we've got to start showcasing my overtaking prowess once again here in Mexico. Bottas wasn't quite trying to go for a move there, my friend, but we'll certainly try one down this weird little DRS zone. Bottas are going to try and force me defensive. Certainly had to make a lot of overtakes here in Mexico in seasons gone by. And I wonder if there's a little bit of nervousness down at Aston Martin, because, of course, Oscar Piastri could be on for yet another victory for them. Always likes to get at least one a season, does Oscar. Logan Sargent then up next, as we're probably about to hear a lot of redlining in this car, as down the outside of the AlphaTauri will go. And that should be another place gained. Wonderful. P18. So Lance up next then. as we round our way out of the S's once again. This time around he's going to go defensive, so we're going to slot to the outside of the Haskell, give him some room, and that'll be another one. Zhou Guanyu, though, no DRS, so surely this one should be easy pickings when we get out onto the front straight. Just got to make sure we keep it between the white lines through these final couple of corners, and you can see the amount of extra grip we've got over those Alfa Romeos. It feels like only yesterday we were battling it out with some of these backmarker cars, but Zhou Guanyu has been navigated. We are back to P16 of this race. Jack Doohan up next then. This time around we're actually going to get pretty much alongside him as we come out onto the straight. You can see, whoa, well I thought the AlphaTauri was backing out of it. We're going to get a warning there. He kind of backed out of it and then decided at the last moment he wanted to keep the nose there, so not too sure what that one was all about. But Teo Pourchaire up next then out of the final corner, and Carlos Sainz, he's having a nightmare down in P13 early on this afternoon. Still cannot find a way around those Williams as Pourchaire, my former teammate, we will wave goodbye. I can already see then why Carlos Sainz is struggling to find a way around these Williams cars. Obviously, they're just effectively slipstreaming each other everywhere, and obviously that's just not allowing Carlos to get any kind of run as down the outside of the Spaniard. He will just about swoop round him. Never been my teammate in any of these series, Carlos Sainz. Perhaps he's one that we could use in a future career mode at some point down the line. But as we round our way out of the final couple of turns, Dennis Hauger then next up on the old hit list. Hopefully we'll be able to get a run on one of the Williams cars as we head back down towards turn 1, but it depends when we hit the red line. There we go, 217, 218. As you can see, we're just not gaining anything on Dennis Hauger. All of us limited, whoa, to about the same speed there as I'm accidentally going to outbrake myself into turn 1. We'll stay down the inside of Hauger as he tries to squeeze me over the sausage curb, and I guess we've completed the move. Well, Carlos Sainz can probably thank me after the race as well, because now I imagine these Williams are going to be much easier pickings for him. As we round our way out of the final corner now, they're spread out there as we've already got cars into the pit lane. Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc both diving in to go on a set of mediums to the end of the afternoon, so a little bit earlier than I was expecting. But my game plan, to be honest, is actually go back onto a set of softs for the second half of this race. Probably box the end of 20, the end of 21. And kind of go from there to the flag. As into the pit lane then, including our title rival Max Verstappen. So we're going to be ahead of Oscar Piastri. So we've actually done pretty well over that first stint. Obviously lost out a bit of time to him, lost even more time to the front wing chain. So to actually undercut him, obviously quite an extreme undercut, is pretty good going there, and actually gives me a little bit of confidence heading into the second half of the race that we might still be able to get a decent result out of this. Definitely I'm not going to try and take these tyres to the end, however. Oh, catastrophic understeer out of the final corner as Oscar Piastri practically pushing me along. Sonoda is going to peel into the pit lane. Yeah, I definitely want to try and get off these mediums ASAP there as Piastri is going to blow past me as we head back down in towards the first corner. Russell seems to have done quite well, running up now in a net P2. But where will Gasly re-emerge in all of this? 18 seconds up the road. There we go, Oscar Piastri, new fastest lap of the day. Gasly now onto a set of the hards. Team want me to come in now, that's still a bit too early. To be bolting on a set of soft compound tyres to the end of the afternoon. Enzo Fittipaldi, a 16.9, okay. That's pretty impressive by him. But what I'd love at some point right now is a red flag. That would be very, very useful. Bring me right back up to the front. Oh, that's annoying. Second penalty of the day. Just ran ever so slightly over the white lines as Russell now sets a 1:16.7. So AI getting quicker and quicker. Every single lap, just another one flies past me down this front straight. But yeah, I'm tempted to box now at the end of this one, to be honest. Get through to the flag. 16 laps is a long way to go on a set of softs, but we will have a lot less fuel in the car. Oh, we got yellows out at the back of the field. Haas and Alfa Romeo appear to have tangled. Go on, give us safety car, give us safety car, give us anything, game. Nope, apparently not again. Zhou Guanyu out of the GP, so I can only assume he's broke down and the Haas got caught up behind him. Having our way through the final corner then, peeling into the pit lane. Whoa, once again, make sure we get inside that bollard. Don't want to be in trouble with the FIA. There was 49 miles an hour into the pit lane. That was pretty beautifully timed. Probably going to come out around the McLaren of Nick de Vries, I think. Maybe a little bit behind him, in fact. I want to be ahead of Carlos Sainz still, ideally. But yeah, soft tyres to the end. We should be the quickest car on track. We're going to be out fairly close to Dennis Hauger, which is good. So yeah, we're going to be very, very quick, hopefully, towards the end of this race. But yeah, really, as long as we get back into the points, it's a question of how many points can we actually sensibly score. That hasn't taken us long before back to the gearbox of Dennis Hauger. Purple Sector 2 and Sector 3 on that lap as we get onto the red line once again. We're going to need another dive bomb on a Williams here. Exactly what we're going to do. Down. Hello? Hauger just pushed me off the inside of the circuit there. Whether he felt I didn't warrant any space, I don't quite know. But that's going to be another warning then this afternoon. We cannot get 9 seconds of penalties like we did in Qatar. There we go, 16-0. That should be fastest lap locked up. But yeah, I mean, Piastri now under increasing pressure from George Russell. Gasly trying to defend from his former teammate Max Verstappen. And Nick de Vries then out of the final corner. Should be able to now elevate ourselves back up into the points then as Tsunoda and that gaggle of cars in front really are costing each other a lot of the time. I can see Verstappen now. Hello, Nick. Trying to battle it out with Pierre Gasly as well as we get down the inside of de Vries. And again, we're going to make contact with Nick de Vries in towards turn 1. You can't force me right to the inside wall and then not expect me to start doing it back to you on the entry to the corner. Well, less than 10 laps to go then of the race. We have slowly wrapped up to the back of Yuki Tsunoda. We should score points anyway here, but Verstappen now up to P3 late on in the day. He needs to average 3rd place in these final 4 races if he wants any chance of the title. And of course that would be if I didn't score a single point in any of them. He would then just about wrap it up by about 4 points if my maths hasn't failed me. But yeah, surely we can try and at least get ahead of this gaggle of cars in front of Enzo Fittipaldi. Riding on the high of the podium last weekend still, I'm sure. But we want to try and relegate him down the order because I'm mean like that. Oh, we've got Haskar though in the way. That is late on the brakes there. Lance Stroll doing Lance Stroll things and really getting in the way as, well, down the inside of Yuki Tsunoda will go. Just try and squeeze him out on the exit of the corner, and that's going to be our first move completed then of this little gaggle. Stroll might just have really helped Enzo Fittipaldi there as Ocon and Albon are now going to be dropping back ever so slightly behind him. Can we try and get a run, though, on the Alpines as we head back down towards turn 1? Surely Alex is going to be able to get a run on Esteban here to the outside. And, well, that's exactly how you'd expect Esteban Ocon to fight one of his teammates, isn't it? Pushes him basically off the circuit in towards turn 1 there. Let's see if we can try and get a run on the pair of them off the corner. Albon going to be going slowly. We'll try and have a look to the outside. Is he going to dive to the inside of his teammate? He's almost going to take his teammate out there, so tensions are high down at Alpine, and we will split them. You know, act as a bit of an umpire. Come on then, Esteban. Let's try and get a run on the Frenchman. He's going to try and wiggle defensive, so we'll get around the outside of him. Really don't like being squeezed down there to the inside through that corner, but we'll say thank you very much. And next up then is Fittipaldi. Well, I'm not sure we'll get the 6-second gap we need over Enzo Fittipaldi by the end of this race, but I certainly think we can do it over Ocon and Tsunoda here, as I've definitely taken a lot of pressure at this young Brazilian late on in the day. I'm sure both him and Felipe want to head into Brazil next weekend with a good result. But yeah, down the inside of Fittipaldi will go. And let's see what kind of gap we can build up in these final 6 laps of the Mexico GP. Not going to have a chance to close up to Gasly or Leclerc, but could really do with them both jumping max. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. Looks like an AlphaTauri down at the first corner, and now would be a really bad time for a safety car. I said you often get them here, as an Alfa Romeo's gone spinning with them. What on earth is happening there? I think they both got going again. That was a bit odd. 3 laps to go. The gap up to 4 seconds over Enzo Fittipaldi. We might just still be able to get this gap where we wanted it to. I'm quite surprised, pleasantly surprised by the pace we've had towards the end. Around in the final corner then to start the last lap of the Mexican GP. The gap to Fittipaldi up and over 5 seconds. We need 1 more second on this final lap. We should lock up P7 anyway. But it looks like George Russell is going to get his first win of the year on the board for Mercedes as well. Of course, won the sprint race last weekend in Kota. But of course, yeah, wasn't able to convert that into a full race victory at the end of the day. But Verstappen looks like he's going to safely lock out a P3 here. Gap is going to come down, but next weekend in Brazil, surely we can be trying to line ourselves up. You know, would love to go into Portimao and Las Vegas, 2 good fun circuits with sort of no pressure underneath me, but are we going to get that gap at the Fittipaldi? Tyres really are starting to fall off late on in the day as we round our way through these final few corners. Make sure I don't get a warning. It might just cost us though against Fittipaldi. I know we had no more warnings spent, so we couldn't afford to risk it, but through the final couple of corners, and Russell is going to be back on top, and our second ever winner of the Mexican Grand Prix in this series. Oscar Piastri, a valiant effort for P2, and our title fight is going to stay alive, and it is actually going to come down for the first time in a long old while. It's P6 here in Mexico.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in. So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, this was won through an abundance of speed and skillful overtakes. Inside, outside, cutting underneath, we saw it all today. And it's really nice to see a Grand Prix won in that manner. A race to satisfy the purists today, I think.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners. So let's review the updated driver standings. The gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Mexican Grand Prix, and yeah, Mercedes there really didn't have the qualifying pace, but 9th to 1st to George Russell. He will take victory here in Mexico City. Oscar Piastri P2, a good result for Aston Martin, beating out Verstappen and Charles Leclerc there. Very good recovery drive from the Dutchman, 13th to 3rd when all is said and done. Gasly, Fittipaldi, myself, Tsunoda, and both of the Alpines rounding out our point scorers. And that means a 52-point lead as we head into Brazil. So all we need to do next weekend to crown ourselves world champion is just beat Verstappen in the sprint and the main event there. As long as the gap leaves Brazil larger than it goes in, we will be world champions. Tsunoda still in P3, but he is, of course, mathematically out of it. Drogovic, down in P11 again, as Ocon building him a little bit of a buffer. And constructors-wise, though, yeah, we can afford to lose 5 points to Red Bull next weekend as well, and that could be enough to wrap up the Constructors' Championship. 4 points between Ferrari and Mercedes, 2 points between Aston Martin and Alpine. There is a lot of fighting still going on late on in the campaign. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very, very soon when Formula One returns next weekend out to Brazil. Our final sprint weekend of the season, potentially our final sprint weekend of this series. You guys do not want to miss that. A massive thank you to my Patreon supporters that you can see currently on your screens. If you want to join them from as little as £1 a month, it would be massively appreciated and you help support my work. You also get access to weekly updates from myself with everything going on behind the scenes with the channel. But yeah, a massive thank you to the names you see on your screen, and we'll be back very soon with a brand new video.